What's going on, y'all? This is John Alsace with the Face Mask Podcast, and today I wanted to get into a backfield breakdown on the Kansas City Chiefs, the team we haven't gotten into yet. So their backfield is composed of Clyde Edwards-helaire, Darrell Williams, Jerick McKinnon, Darwin Thompson, and LeSean McCoy maybe. And I say maybe because we'll get into that in a little bit. But despite this team being so good, and Mahomes being so dynamic, and the Chiefs brass drafting an RB in the first round last year, everybody in the fantasy community is down on the Chiefs running game in 2021. And I think it comes down to one factor, which we'll get into later. First, let's take a look at what CEH was able to do in his rookie season. 181 rushes for 803 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, and 36 receptions on 54 targets for 1 TD. He did that in 13 games. Over that span, he was the RB 15. His talent, his receiving ability out of the backfield, and in this offense, there's nothing to indicate that he shouldn't be a top-tier fantasy contributor. This guy didn't fumble at all last season. I mean, we didn't see Christian McCaffrey through the receiving game, but he's not a liability. His issue was volume, it wasn't efficiency. And generally, when they got the ball into CEH's hands, good things happened except on the goal line. And that's the big factor that's bringing down the value of this player. He's not considered to be a good goal line back. And in an offense that relies more on a QB than running back play anyway, that's not a good thing. I mean, at least running backs of the past, Kareem Hunt, Darrell Williams they were good on the goal line. All in all, he converted just 2 of his 10 attempts inside the 5-yard line into scores. But, and this is a big but, fellow Chiefs running backs, Darrell Williams, Le'Veon Bell, and Darwin Thompson, and DeAndre Washington converted just 1 of their combined 6 rush attempts into a score. This offensive line was the problem. It wasn't the running backs. This offensive line ranked outside of the league's top 16 units in yards before contact, which resulted in most of Clyde Edwards-helaire's failed attempts being very hard to convert attempts. He wasn't walking through any big holes last year, and it was because the offensive line wasn't making any. To remedy this, Kansas City added Orlando Brown, Joe Thuney, Austin Blythe, and Kyle Long. Now, Kyle Long was just injured at practice. We'll see what happens to him. But they also added a center and a guard through the draft this season. So they got a left tackle, a new left guard, and a new center, and a new left guard who was injured but is going to come back at some point this season onto this team. That was their main goal in the offseason, because not only is that a bad thing for the running game, it's the reason they lost the Super Bowl. We all saw it. It was their O-line. Mahomes couldn't do anything behind what that O-line was at the end of last season. So let's go back in history to 2018. In 2018, the Kansas City Chiefs RBs combined for a total of 25 touchdowns, rushing and receiving. That was Kareem Hunt and Damian Williams. The difference between 2018 and now, 2020, was that in 2020, they had 11 touchdowns compared to 25. Huge difference. In terms of fantasy points, that's 84 fantasy points, equivalent to 5.25 points per game. If CEH gets just half of the scores that make up that difference, 7 out of the 14, he moves up from 2020's RB2 on the year to RB11, 2 spots ahead of where he was ranked based off of his first 13 games in which he played. So think about that. With those 2 factors, he's kind of a no-brainer for top 10. Kind of a no-brainer for top 10 when you factor all that in. If that touchdown regression is there, and I think it will be because this team fixed its main issue last season. In 12 of the last 15 seasons, Andy Reid's RB1 has finished top 8 among running backs in the league in fantasy points per game. That's real. Prior to CEH, LeSean McCoy was the highest drafted running back under Andy Reid. In his rookie year, he had 195 touches for 945 yards and 4 TDs. In his second year, he had 285 touches for 1,672 yards and 9 touchdowns. We could absolutely see that kind of jump for CEH coming. Now, they signed Jerick McKinnon. They retained Darrell Williams on the roster. Thompson is still there. I'm going to circle back to that LeSean McCoy thing because he came out and said that he's never playing for Andy Reid again. And I think that's because he didn't get any touches last season, late into the year, and he was expecting to. So while he's still on the team, I think he's going to be cut at some time in the offseason. I don't really know what his status is. But at the end of the day, it's never bad to have a handcuff for a consensus best QB head coach tandem in the NFL. I'd put money on that guy in this offense being Darrell Williams. McKinnon's too injury prone for me to invest in, plain and simple. I'd rather have Darrell Williams, as I view him as similar to a Latavius Murray type, valuable if he sees enough snaps to get a TD on a goal line carry at any point in the game. And the coaching staff likes him. Not to say that he's a threat to CEH at all, because I really don't. CEH is an RB2 who I think should be ranked as an RB1 if he catches some of the positive TD regressions which should be coming his way. CEH is a high upside RB2 who can easily be an RB1 if he catches some of the positive TD regression, which I think should be coming his way soon. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm crazy for having CEH in my top 10? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you for listening. This is the Face Mask Podcast.